were looking for, and
Sorry
I
about
had
that.
never,
Go ahead,
yeah.
Lady Sherry.
So you were talking about the three things that men respond to, and that their brains actually, the brain scans respond to, and I'd never heard this before. I mean, well, I heard the first one. The first one, visual stimuli. Of course, we all know that men are visual, right? But you talked about wearing hair extensions and shapers and dangly earrings and that kind of thing. But then you said status recognition, and I never heard about this, that a guy wants us to actually um help lift up his status by being the va va voom girl that walks in with him to his big dinner with his boss, or that's not the example you gave, but that's what I was thinking.
You're
But
spot on. You're spot
right,
on.
and that we help him become the elder at the gate that people look up to, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's a
that's
message. Yes.
Psalm isn't it Psalm
Proverbs
112?
31.
No, Psalm 112
Okay.
is that the man is seen at the gate.
Well, that's
Um,
Proverbs 31 as well, that her
right,
husband is known in the gate.
right,
Hmm.
right. And then the last one I kind of knew, but you were talking about stress reduction, and that I knew that he needs a peaceful home and a safe place to come, and that, because of the world and blah blah blah. But that we actually need to help reduce his stress was a new thing for me. So it was real. I mean, like, there was lots more to it, but
Oh,
those three.
thank you, Lady Sherry. Everybody give a hand up to Lady Sherry. Okay, guys, we're going to take one more. We're going to take one more. Going once, going twice. Okay, Lady Louisa. Oh, you're clapping. Your hand isn't raised. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I actually asked what was the question on the chat, so I don't know
No, we're
what the
just asking for
question is.
takeaways from last night. Just asking for
Oh,
takeaways. So anybody else? One takeaway? Okay, Lady Danny.
Hey, okay, so question, because I've been in these pseudo relationships where all of those three things were done. I elevated him, the people at the gates recognized I brought all of those things to the man, but the men didn't see it. So clearly that's a move on, right? But like how do we make the men see when all of the other people are seeing?
Okay, yes, but before I answer, Danielle, how come you have such a lisp tonight?
Um really, really tired. And
Okay, okay, it's too late.
it's been a
Okay,
very, very full couple days.
okay, no problem, no problem. Great question. Great question. So before I go into that, let me formally open this evening's edition of the Single to Soulmate August Challenge. It's called What Men Really Want and What Women Really Need. And I want to let you know that I spent a considerable amount of time pondering certain things before I ran another challenge. And I wanted to get some secrets. I wanted to get some downloads. And we are here tonight because I got some. And these are the things that I will be sharing with you in the next 4 nights. We started last night. We'll be going for 5 nights. And in case we've never met before, I am Reverend Dr. Amber Joy Daniel. And it is my life's mission to elevate you so that you can take your destiny, so that you can live out your dominion mandate. I'm passionate about it. So I'm not shouting, I'm just passionate. Some of you may have that t-shirt. Okay, so thank you so much, Danielle, for the question. And then there are two other questions that I will answer tonight that people asked when they were coming into the challenge. So, Danny, to answer your question, is it okay if I do a little bit of a deep dive with you?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so I so you said that the status was there. Um, it's a trifecta. So I want to find out, was the visual appeal there?
Yeah, it seemed to be
Okay, so the visual appeal was there from your perspective or a woman's perspective or a man's perspective.
both,
Okay, and then the status was there from a woman's perspective or a man's perspective.
both.
And then the last piece is the relaxation and comfort. Was it there from a woman's perspective or a man's perspective?
It was both. And I mean, I think that all three of the
All three
men
were
that
there.
I'm
Okay,
thinking
so
of.
now I'm going to ask I'm going to ask one more calibrating question. Did he get
Okay.
too much of it too easily?
Yeah, probably. That was definitely, he didn't have to fight for it or work for it.
That is where I would say then that the trifecta must be applied in small doses, or else
Okay.
it's for free. And if I have it for free, there's a Caribbean saying,
Right.
if a man getting milk for free, then why he need to buy the cow?
Right. And I
So
think that I've always thought of that sexually, but I didn't think about it emotionally.
oh yes,
And
emotionally,
so
and with your
that's really good.
prayer, like praying with a guy, counseling him, and giving him all the answers to all of his problems, healing his heart, and then after his broken heart and whatever problems else gets healed by you, homeboy happily goes off because you are his friend, you are his homie. Ask me how I know. I marry
Right.
some other woman who doesn't bring half as what you bring to the table. Some damsel in
Seriously.
distress that he could rescue. And so then
Mm-hmm.
that's a question too. Then maybe it needs to be a quad factor. Were you ever a damsel in distress that he had the honor of rescuing?
No, because the reality is he really didn't have the chutzpah to be able to do that. He couldn't carry.
So a man will never put himself in the position to be a husband or a covenant spouse if he cannot be the automatic hero. So
Okay.
if he feels he cannot carry you, or if he feels he doesn't have the chutzpah, or if he feels that he'll never measure up for what you need, he just won't go there. He'll marry a lesser woman, quote unquote, so that
Yeah.
he can be a hero. He needs to be a hero. I can be your hero, baby. He'll find a woman to whom he can sing that song.
Mm,
And if he can never be your hero, he'll always feel emasculated. It's like a role reversal for him. You're always his hero, and he
mm.
should be the one saving. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So how, okay, quick question. Maybe I'm jumping ahead. How do we not be a ditz? Because the Elwoods character, I think for me, makes me go, I don't want to be a ditz. I want to be in my feminine, but I don't want to have some like, oh, I'm so broken. Like I've busted my butt and my life to like heal and to become whole in so many areas.
Yeah.
How, I mean, there are absolutely areas where I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be comforted and protected and provided for and all of that 100%. And I'm willing to let myself be, but like, I can't apologize for the work that I've done to become whole and healed.
Okay,
So
so
I'm not.
all right. So I just have one line of advice for that.
Mhm.
And of course, it may be too general for it to be nuanced enough for it to be accurate, but take it for a spin.
Okay.
And the answer I would give to that is don't talk about it. No need to apologize about it. Also, no need to talk about it. No need to talk about your journey. How you show up speaks for itself. How you show up tells us the journey. one of the I was wondering if to put this in the subject matter for tonight because we're going to come down to um I really want to point out some do's and some don'ts every night. And I kind of really want to focus on the don'ts. People say don't do that, but you guys are doing, the people who I know are doing all the good stuff. That is not the problem. That's not the problem. The
Mhm.
problem is we're also doing some don't stuff in the middle. And I want to weed out. I want to get away from the don't stuff. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So, um, one of the things that uh can trip us up, I know it used to trip me up, especially with men who um would consider being my hero, is oversharing, sharing too much too soon, so that there's no mystery. And so there's a way to defer depth until like we haven't reached there yet. You know, you haven't earned that yet. And it's a playful thing. It's like I would tell you, but you have to do this first, like we haven't crossed the 2 millimeter mile yet, bro. Bruh. You don't think we're speeding, you know, and 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 you don't have to withhold it forever, but you do want to moderate the speed at which you share yourself. Everybody write that down. Moderate the speed at which you share yourself. And that could be real tricky because for some of us, we can be so demure that the guy doesn't even know we're interested. So we need to like speak up loudly. Whoa, I'm interested. Hello. You were trying to get my attention. Okay, yeah, I'm over here. Yep, yep. You got my attention. I'm responding to you. Sometimes we have to do that loudly. But then after that, we need to rest back and let him chase. So it really, I suppose, brings up the question of what does chase look like? Well, chase looks like every day, not just like a blur touch point. Hi, how are you? I hope you are fine. What are you doing today? I'm at work. The predictable conversation where there is no depth shared. That is, I would say that is too familiar. We're familiar without even knowing each other. That's a conversation for a married couple or an engaged couple when we're at the point of like, oh, we're living together now. But when we first meet each other, I want to see your intensity of pursuit. Woo me with questions. Woo me with words. Woo me with your interest. And most guys can't keep that up for the long haul. Most guys can't keep that up for the long haul unless they're really interested. Unless they're really, really interested. I always used to say, let's delay getting on the phone. Let's delay even meeting because that kind of makes guys lazy. It diminishes the intensity, I think, of the pursuit. And the one or two times that I bent that rule, I've lived to regret it. So we will stay in the app. My advice is to stay in the app and make him work hard to write you. He said, oh, I want to text on the phone. Make him stay in the app. You are well worth it. You're well worth it for him to scroll through his phone, find that app, sign in, and write you there. If online dating is what you're doing. And delay getting on the phone for as long as possible. And you'll know when it's time. You'll know. And that hot pursuit, that interest beyond, hi, how are you? How are you? I hope you are fine. How was your day today? You went to work? What did you do? Okay, and then after that, what? I've satisfied your need to talk to someone and now you're ready to go to bed. Talk to you tomorrow? No, no, no. And so we want to moderate the speed at which we share ourselves because the other thing is he could ask one question and we could give him the answer to 20. And then there's nothing else for him to ask. He's like, well, I was going to ask her this, but she answered that. I was going to ask her that, but she answered that too. I was going to ask her. And then he feels tired. Then he feels like, oh, okay, this is going to be work. I can't keep up with her. And so right there, the connection that was starting off is broken. Does that help? You could write in the chat for me, yes or no, so that I know, so that we know. So guys, the things that I would say may not be popular, but based on experience, they are astute. And I have found that the times when I gave advice that deviated from these things, my girls got hurt. And I feel like I feel it's not worth it. I feel it's not worth it. So I want to answer two other questions tonight, if that's okay for me to move on. This question was, okay, Kemba, I see that hand. I see that hand. How do you find your purpose partner? That's the first question. And the answer that I might give may seem a little counterintuitive. So the question is, how do you find your purpose partner? For those of us who were in Ireland, Dan Duval answered this question really square for us. He made it known that you have to let your purpose be second to his purpose. Anybody remember hearing that? It was a shocking answer, but he was telling us the ugly truth from a man. No, in case Daniel Duval and his wife Christian were to ever see this video, let me say it not in a way that I'd normally say it in the tribe. Daniel Duval is a pastor, but the brother packs a little looks, doesn't he? Yeah, so this is not someone who is old and ancient and isn't with it. He and his wife are very up to the date, up to the moment, very hip and up and coming, wouldn't you say? Okay. And so coming from a man who, because people will tell me, oh, but they are old. Oh, but they're a pastor. Oh, but they have 3 degrees and 4 degrees and 5 degrees and oh, no. This was a man. And he went so far as to share with us that his wife, who has a Harvard MBA, that if she did not set to one side her ambition and her purpose, it wasn't going to work. Anybody remembers him explaining that? Guys, brutal truth, brutal truth. And he said, quote, and I quote, no man wants to be your handbag. That's what he said. He said, no, but no man wants to be a handbag. So the advice that I would give, I would just reframe the question and reframe your focus just a little bit. I would say, yes, you have to let your purpose be second to his, but there does come a point, as it did in the Duval's marriage, where her purpose within his purpose, oh my gosh. I listened to a message from Christian that Sherry sent to me this week. Amazing, on fire, on fire. And I mean, she makes some, like, she says, Daniel will tell you for an hour, but I'm going to tell you in 30 minutes, this, and this. Okay, I mean, she's on point. She's really good. And so her destiny, her ambitions, her business, she consults for Fortune 500 top tier companies in the world. But he said when they started out, that had to be second. Yes, I get it. I get it that you don't know how you feel about that. I get it. I get it. I see you. So, what I would say is you have to select. If purpose is very important to you, You have to ask God for, and you have to select a gentleman whose purpose is so wide, large, deep, that you can see your purpose in his. Is his purpose large enough for you to fit inside without you having to squelch yourself to fit in there? To fit inside, do you have to like really squelch yourself up to get in there? Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? So ask the Lord to bring a guy whose purpose is big enough. And they used to be yes, I'm responding to, could I give an example? This couple is a really good example. She was so with a Harvard MBA and stuff, they used to be talking about what the Lord was saying about a lot of things that she was seeing and consulting in the secular business world. And if you know Daniel Duvall's ministry, they kind of have global oversight or insight as to what God is doing in territories and nations, the current move of God prophetically, and so on. And she was very interested and versed in that kind of thing. I mean, to the point where he said, this is in another meeting, that he would ask her, what is the Lord saying to you? What has the Lord downloaded to you about this, and this? And her insight was keen and on point. At this point, they had no idea that they were going to be married. And so today, they're living out that same synergy. And so for a little time, her things were on hold, but now everything that she was doing before is full throttle. It looks a little different. It's probably even better because now two are better than one. Does that example help, or do you need another example? Okay. And it could be tricky to ask God for a man whose purpose is bigger than yours, because you see, that's not something that you can know. That's not something that you know in the flesh. When I met my husband, he wanted nothing to do with pastoral ministry. Ministry, yes. Pastoral ministry, mm-mm. Even though we got a prophetic word 9 years, 5 months, and on the day of his ordination, it will be 27 days ago. He'll tell you he did the Saul of Tarsus. He did he did the Jonah running down to Tarshish, right? Not what he wanted to do. Not what he wanted to do. Who you see here tonight, I want to be really delicate in how I say this. I've been Reverend Amber for about 20 years. Hi, Jackie. Good to have you in the house, Mama. And at the end of this week, my husband and I will be ordained together. I've not called myself Reverend Amber for the last 13 years that we have been married. Are you guys picking up what I'm laying down? Thank you, Kimber. And now that we're going to be Reverend Dr. Daniel and Reverend Dr. Daniel, it's so much more powerful than if I were Reverend Dr. Amber by myself. Do you guys get it? Guys, there's a reward for if you would wait and let God work out purpose with you. And I'm not saying pick up a man who have no ambition. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. but you have to see and hear from the Lord what his destiny is. And the Lord will confirm, even if it takes 9, 10 years for you guys to get there. So, to the person, I don't want to expose the person who asked the question in case they asked it in confidence, but I did want to give an answer. I know the answer isn't popular, but I do believe that that answer is the truth. And I hope that you can receive. Okay, second question. Is it difficult to find a soulmate? And my answer is, it depends. But the question goes on. Is it possible at the age of 28 or 29 to be married and a stay-at-home wife and mom while husband works and covers the expenses? Seems like a lot of men want women to work full-time and be a maid. That's it. That's the question. And well, there's a comment with the question. It's a very honest question, wouldn't you say? Yeah, so let's give a round of applause to all those who signed up and they asked their honest question. We celebrate you, and I want to give an answer to this one. So number one, it depends. This is a very cultural question, I would say. I know someone who, a lovely young man, he was really interested in her, and he said, listen, let's get one thing straight. First date, first date. I'm attracted to you. What kind of man is this? I'm attracted to you. I like you a lot, but I know what I want. Are you willing, after your studies, she's studying medicine, are you willing, after your studies, to raise a family, put your career on hold, and after our children are finished, whatever, for you to continue that? That is what I'm looking for. Are you willing to do that? And he said, I know I'm asking you this on the spot, and you probably didn't have a chance to think about it. And she hesitated, and he said, right. So exactly for the reason you are hesitating, as much as I like you, as much as I'm attracted to you, this is not what I want. He said, my mom was a highly educated woman. She stayed home and she took care of me and my 4 brothers. I want a wife, and I know the benefits. I know what that was like for me, and I want that for my children. And depending on the part of the world that you're from, like if you're from Trinidad and you have a nice East Indian young man who wants it like that, you're set. On the other hand, I have heard Caribbean gentlemen of other cultures and other persuasions discuss other men's wives and called them lazy for allowing, for desiring. The man was allowing his wife to be at home and he was going out and being the breadwinner and so on. And these other men of another cultural persuasion were ill-speaking that man and saying that he was training this woman to be lazy. Instead of her getting up and going and making a way for them as a family, she was staying home to see to the children. Why didn't they get a babysitter? My personal opinion, those gentlemen were very fast, very rude, and very out of place. Because every man is to run his own house. If that is what the man and his wife desire and want to raise their children that way, why should they pay a stranger, babysitting and so, to raise their children if they want for themselves, for the wife to be the one, to be the nurturer and so on? You understand? So it's very up to the individual. It is very up to the couple. So to the person who asked that question, that is very easy to find. Now, there's something else you said that I feel needs to be calibrated. Generally, the guys who want to have their wives stay home, listen, you're making breakfast, you're making lunch, you're making dinner, you're making it fresh, you're ironing all their clothes, you're washing, folding, doing laundry. You understand what I'm saying? If you're pretty well off, you probably have help, domestic help to do that. But if you don't like serving, and bringing his lunch and putting it right there in front of him when he comes home. If you're not up with that vibe, then your ladder of success is leaning on the wrong dream. Because some things just go together. Is that fair? Is that fair for me to say? The guys who want that wife don't want to be served by that wife. And it's not a maid thing. It's a honor thing. It's a love thing. It's a this is what I do and this is what I do best. The people who do that enjoy it. Maybe, and now the other thing is maybe you have seen a family where there have been abuses. Those things do unfortunately exist as well. But by God's grace, you will if that is what you desire, you will get a husband who can afford to and who desires that you would stay home as well. I have two brothers with sisters-in-law of different cultural persuasions, and that is one of the things that they got to enjoy. And it's a cultural thing with that side of the family. It's quite beautiful. So I hope yes, that boy was very upfront. Shocking. Yes, he is very upfront. Very, very upfront. He liked her a lot, but he said, I won't be able to take this further. And I mean, that is what you want, a man who will put his cards on the table. All right, guys. Any questions, comments? Okay, so the question, I saw Kemba had a question, and the question was, what if you're already on the app and he already has your telephone number? Well, you can't put the horse back in the stable. So I would just say, manage the way that you share yourself. Continue, but just be aware, be mindful, manage yourself, manage the way that you share yourself. Any other question or comment before we go on? Any questions or comments about anything that we just shared? Yes, Miss Jackie.
Hello, my sister. I have a beautiful, weird question. I met a guy, beautiful guy. He made a nice comment looking from behind. He said I had nice skin. My arms were out of my dress. So I was like, oh, okay. He didn't know I was sweating, but that's all right. You know, he made the comment that I had beautiful skin. I turned around and I looked and I saw a beautiful guy. He acted like he was interested. But he also acted like he was not going to ask me for my number.
Okay.
So I looked at him kind of, maybe I looked like a dog or something. I was kind of like, huh? What? And I made some faces and he finally said, you could get the number or something. And I was like, could I? Well, I don't know what happened. It was so quick and I had to leave at that time that, how am I put this? Okay, let me be straight. I didn't call him. I expected him to call me. But the fact is, I could have put the number in wrong. It was so fast. We didn't write anything down. Should I try to call him? It's been over a month now. Should I try to call him? Or should I just leave it? Leave it, because he hasn't called me. And part of me is saying, leave him alone. He didn't bother calling you. But there's a thing going, is he so aloof that he's like, oh, she's not interested or something, right? Because he had that demeanor that he was like, well, you could get it. And he made the weirdest comment. Hold on, let me put this on mute. He made the weirdest comment. I was with my mother in the butcher store. And doing this in front of my mother made me a little frazzled. Okay? All right. Okay. My mother was kind of like, whatever. But when I said, yeah, that's my mother, he was like, oh, my mother-in-law? And he seemed rather matter of fact. And I was like, okay, am I being played again, Holy Spirit? Holy Spirit wouldn't say anything. Am I being played again? What's going on? Is this real or is this not real? And I said, I'm going to pull back and let him do what he's going to do. So should I have called him? Should I call him? Or should I just like drop it next?
Good question. Please, let's give it up for Miss Jackie the Brave Carter. Jackie, that is a very honest question to answer. And the honest answer is, I don't know. So let's filter it through a few things and see what we come up with. First of all, let me ask the girls in the room, ladies in the room, what do you guys think? You can write it in the chat. You can put up your hand. If you guys want to ask her a question, Jackie, is that okay with you? Yes, I want this hour to be very interactive. So, yes, Lady Rhoda, go for it.
Jackie, I feel it take too long, Gil. A whole month? Nah.
Okay, so one lady thinks that it took too long. People are writing in the chat, yes, call him. Rayan says, call him. Stephanie says, I believe you should have pursued, but honestly, sometimes you need to. Oh, I believe he should have pursued, but honestly, sometimes you just have to go for it. Talita says, I don't see anything wrong in calling. Stephanie says, call him. Kelia says, it depends. Are you interested? Then text first.
I hate texting, so I would have to call him because I don't like texting. I really don't. But honestly, I was like, he's a tall drink of water. Is he somebody that I normally go for? Nope. He seemed very modest in his looks and everything. So I don't know. But
Okay,
I'm
so
like,
I want to ask some clarifying questions
yes, please.
because to call or not call has some consequences. So yes, I want you to go for it, but there's a but. So let's get my butt out of the way, right? So everybody's saying, call him, message him. Danielle says, what if you message him and say his mother-in-law asked how he's doing? Let's let let's let Lady Lulu in. Come on, Lady Lulu.
I agree with Gordon's text. He says too long and it seemed he lost interest or wasn't serious. Um, and my other view is that if he already said, "Oh, is that my mother-in-law?" And he doesn't call, then I think he was not serious. I mean, to say something like that, that means, wow, she might be the one. And what I've learned about men is that if they really like you and want you, they're going to do the first step. Now, that's the norm, I think. There are exceptions, but that's for now. I'm sticking to that.
So thank you so much, Mama Lulu. So there are a whole lot of other questions, Jackie. They want to know they're hearing an accent. Are you from the Caribbean? They want to know what if he has the wrong number? What if he's calling the wrong person? Somebody says, so we pray that you run into him again and he leads. So Campbell sharing that she finds Caribbean men would say things like that about the mother-in-law, and they don't really mean many things behind it. So here are my qualifying concerns. First of all, I would say that Steve Harvey has one of the best explanations on this. And he explains that when a man sees a woman, if she fits what he's looking for, he knows immediately. And he puts every woman, Gordon, you can tell us if we have this right, in categories to wed, to bed, or she's dead. like just those three. And he he says that a man just knows. And so it could be that the mother-in-law comment was very light, or it could have been the man who knows, but the man who knows pursues. Men want to hunt. They like to hunt. And so we all want to be pursued. We all want to be chased. I want to give that its credence. But I do also want to acknowledge that he may have had the number wrong. And so it's okay, I think, not to pursue, but to say, this number is in my phone, or whichever way you want to say it. And I'm just wondering if this is blah, 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 blah. That is enough. If he doesn't have any comeback or he doesn't have any hint, Now, if he says, who is this? And you say, well, who are you? And then when you reacquaint the person with who you are, if there's no heavy there, forget it. But it could be not very likely that he had the wrong number. I would say if you did that and there was no immediate fire and attention because of the time that has passed, it's not there. If you do, and it's, I was waiting for this number. I lost the number. I blah, blah, blah. How are you? Can we meet? Hot and sweaty pursuit. We'll say, okay, this dude maybe has an alibi. We still suspect, huh? We still very suspect. He's in our suspect category. Jackie, though, I'm curious to know if you like anything more about this man. Do you know anything more about this man?
Okay, what happened is my mother and I were doing some rounds for her while I was off of work. So the hour of the day was more of around 4 o'clock-ish, something like that. So when I saw him, it was a place that I normally would not be while working, right? So he was driving some kind of a workman's truck. And he just came to the butcher shop to pick up a little bit of something for a barbecue. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I was like, oh, it's not a little sports car. It's one of those working vans. So there's some kind of work going on. He knew the place because of he grew up in the area. So that was interesting. And I was like, okay. And he wasn't anything special. He had a t-shirt on. He had a little belly, not a big belly. He was like 6'5", which is very nice when I say tall, drink of water. Um, he had some freckles, which kind of showed me that he's from the Caribbean somewhere, Caribbean descent, but he spoke straight. He grew up here in Canada with me. So I was like, okay, all right. But he could have been too young. It's a possibility, but he seemed like he could be my age. I can't tell anymore. I'm 50 something. I don't know how old
Oh,
he
you
was,
look
but I was like,
good, Mama.
well, he looked like he could be my age, and I'm like, black people sometimes it's horrible, but but I don't know. But he was like in what looked like a working car, and the area that he said he lived in is a well-to-do area, which is close to where I live,
So
but
hang
he's in
on.
a
So hang on.
nicer
You guys
place.
had a conversation.
Well, he kept talking to me in the butcher shop.
All right. I think then that you only have two choices here to go for it without putting yourself, I would say, without putting yourself in harm's way, which is just like, like if you are casually checking to see whose number this is and see if he
Yeah,
remembers or if he just tells every pretty girl in every butcher shop, he just chats
really,
everybody up. Caribbean
really,
boys could do that,
really,
you know.
really.
So,
Yeah.
or if there's a genuine, oh my gosh, you're the girl from the butcher shop. I've been stalking that place, hoping to find you, or something. That's an indication of we want to see beyond. We don't want to see, hey, how you doing? Like
Yeah.
if today's the day after. That's what I think, Mama.
Thank you. That's
Talita
good.
says she's impressed by how observant you were. Checking out the guy in the butcher shop. I I am I'd like to know a little bit more about him before you'd pursue, but I suppose it was a meeting in a butcher shop. There's no way that you could know more. Do you have a name? A
I
first
just have
name?
his first name. I just have his first name. It was the first time I never asked for the last name.
Okay. But if he lives in your area, sometimes the internet could be an amazing place. We do some amazing things with first names only. First names in a
Well,
profession or a little area. You never know. You never know what you could do. Some sleuthing. Do some sleuthing.
I don't want to because I don't want to see. I don't want
I
to
see you don't
see.
want to
I
work
want to do
and
that.
then, yeah. And then
Yeah,
homeboy is
no, no,
married
no.
with 5 children, living his best life. I hear
Oh
you.
my gosh. Well, that crossed my mind too. I was like, you know what? It's before Caravana, right? Some people like to be single around Caravana, go out in Caravana and go find somebody. But also, I don't know if he was planning on going or whatever, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, there's some different things, but I did say something. Hallelujah flew out of my mouth.
And he didn't
And
flinch. He
he
didn't.
and he said, what did you say? And I said, hallelujah. So that could have told him, oh, I can't speak to this girl because I know where she is and I know I'm not there or whatever. But
Okay.
Holy Spirit wasn't saying anything. Holy Spirit was like, I'm not.
So he wants you to decide. So if you were your daughter, and I think that the person whose opinion weighs the most in this room is Gordon's because he's a man. So if you were your daughter, what would you advise your daughter to do?
Mm, I would have told my daughter, actually, I would have said, try it so it doesn't bug you anymore. Try it,
Okay.
see what happens, see what vibes you get. But and I would take your advice, like if he really seems like, oh my goodness, I lost my phone, I broke my phone or something, whatever, blah blah blah. I've gone back to that place 2 3 times to see if you had gone back there, da 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 da, right? Because I told them it was my first time at the butcher shop, right? And then I would be like, oh, really? Okay. And he goes, but you didn't call. Why didn't you call? And I said, because I'm the lady. I'm not supposed to call.
That's a
But
very good
something,
answer.
but somebody told me to call, so I'm gonna call
Okay, so
just to
now
get
here's
something done.
this.
Yes.
If you were my daughter, and that would shatter you, or that if it were a disappointing situation, it would make it not be such a happy day or week or month, or I wouldn't have the same advice.
Well, it's funny because it's been so long. I'm at, I'm a little curious, but I'm not as curious as I was before. I'm just like,
Okay. Okay.
that would be interesting to see and to see what vibe I get. Otherwise, I'm like, I don't know. And after you said what you said about the lunch and this and that and blah, 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 I'm like, I don't know that that's me, right? I love to cook. I do love to cook and whatever else. And I love making food for people I love, right? So I would probably do that anyway. I love doing some domestic things, not all domestic things, right? But somebody who I would have to have a big conversation with them and see what they really want, what they don't want, what they're willing to do, what they're not willing to do, and how they're going to treat me if I'm doing, because I'm a worker. I just am. So if he just wants that, and we'll see if I'm past the age, the childbearing age or whatever, right? So I'm like, I don't know.
I
So
don't
there's a
believe
lot
in
of
that,
questions.
but I don't believe in that, but okay. I think that as long as you want, everything is reversible. Everything is possible. But I had my first baby at 43, so I have a very specific reason I think so. And we fought in order for me to have that baby. So I know that victory is anybody who wants it, we could do a class on how to do that. But I hear you, Lady Jackie. Let's give it up for Lady Jackie. So we want to follow up, eh? We want to know if you called. We want to know if Holy Spirit said, don't do that. We want to know what is the update. You hear? We want to know. Okay. So if you're going to do it, you have to do it in the next 5 days. We're rushing here because we want to follow up on this saga. All right, guys. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? All right, guys, our first hour is gone. So now I have to teach. Is that okay? Do we have any comments or questions in the last 3 minutes of this time that we have together, this conversation time?
I wanted to go back to the stay at home. Well, it's not really the stay at home part for me, really. It's um like God gave me a desire to homeschool my children, and like how that would it's I've been singing it for the last couple years, and everybody around me is like, I don't know how that's gonna, but I'm seeing I'm saying where he's strategically placing persons in my life that it can happen
Right,
because it's a desire that I have, right?
right.
Now, I don't think when the time comes, it's going to be a fight with my husband, neither, with my parents, because they're the younger of the grandparents, right? But if there is it something that I should, maybe consider you know, the other
Mhm.
side of it, or just, this is what I know God is saying, and this is what, I have to figure out how to make it happen, or like he has always done, he would always give me strategy as how to make it happen.
Well, that's my go-to, strategy is our word. So, strategy is our reality. I think though that therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife. And so I think that your husband is the head of your home, and the Lord is the head of your husband. And I know that there are things that God knows how to get through to my husband, but that is his head. So you can always appeal to the highest court to bring both of you on the same page. Um, I think you and your husband have to decide this. I think that getting counsel from in-laws is good, but it ultimately comes down to that threefold cord. You, your husband, and the Lord. And so if the Lord is sharing it with you, he will show you when and how to share with him, and then rapid prayers or whatever other strategy, um, so that that divine influence could be worked on your husband's heart. And then, as these things happen, your husband will come one day and say, T. Gill, I was thinking that we should homeschool. And then you're like, I thought that was my idea. But you think we should homeschool? Sure, no problem. Or, T, another way that I've seen this work is if there is and I'm giving advice to anyone who you may not be in this position, but if there's another young lady who is, husband says, no, the child is going to go to public school or whatever, and you don't, and you feel it's going to cause too much friction, let the child go. There will arise a scenario that causes husband to see what you see, or you can pray through the child so that the scenarios that you wanted to prevent or whatever, the Lord brings your heart around to his. But understand that we are all co-creating with God. We are all co-creating with God for the destiny of the little ones put into our care. And from that seat of utmost love, utmost care, utmost concern, most parents find godly consensus and they are in agreement. Grandparents, I have come to realize grandparents are in a completely different grandparents and a very different agenda. What is easiest for the child? What is, what is whatever the child wants? Grandparents are, I think, in a different world. So yes, God has a way of doing that already. One last question before we go? And we're not going, we're just going to go to VIP where I'll teach a little bit. Going once, going twice? All right. Well, this has been night 2 of the Single to Soulmate Challenge, where we're discussing what men really want and what women really need. And tonight we had some question and answer talking sessions. And if you are not in our world, we invite you to come join us and come join the VIP, where now we'll do some formal teaching on some of the stuff we discussed and some other things. So do stay with us if you can. for the VIP, which will start right after this. And for everybody else just watching on the replay, we'll catch you again.